Hey there, folks. Continuing on with Watchmen, we have arrived at episode 3, which gives us our reintroduction to Laurie, now going by Laurie Blake, Silk Spectre from the original story. Loving her. Here's the thing. Laurie is one of the few things that I think you could rightfully have some criticism of for the original Watchmen story, which is to say that she's probably the least fleshed out of all the primary characters. She feels like there is less depth to her than Dr. Manhattan, Rorschach, Ozymandias, Night Owl, any of the rest. The comedian even. But this feels like such a fully fleshed out, fully realized character, and the weight of history is in every line she has, every look she gives, every part of her thought process. Like, you've been through it. So it's really rewarding to see this character done so well. And to see now how an outsider coming into what's going on Tulsa's a mess, clearly, already, but coming into it with an outsider's perspective, and also coming to realize that the rules in place for the cops to wear masks or whatever, this is unique to the area. This isn't national. This is a very specifically localized problem because the 7th Cavalry, the people in the Rorschach masks who are basically just the Klan again, they are a fairly localized problem around Tulsa. And that it's not on a national level, which again is, I really like the scale on this. It's dealing with things that are born out of very large ramifications, but dealing with them on a smaller scale and local level. It's not saying the entire country is like this. It's not saying the entire world is like this. The entire world doesn't need to be like this for it to be worth looking at and examining and really drilling into. It can be a smaller area. It can be a state. It can be a city. It doesn't need to be this big, massive, grand scale for it to be worth depicting. So I love that. And just, oh God, these characters are wonderful. I really liked when she was talking with Tim Blake Nelson. Mirror Image, I think, is what he was called, the one with the reflective mask. And as she got under his skin, because obviously the guy's whole thing is you look at him, you just see you can't get a read on him. I mean, person on a mask you normally can anyway, but you really can't with him. And to see her just sort of get under his skin a little bit, that was good. And I'm watching Angela just sort of still trying to cope day to day with what's been going on, and then the level that the 7th Cavalry is willing to take this. That they're at as a position of suicide bombers. Now, granted, I use that term, and it the show in no way makes a comparison between these people and jihadist extremists, which is what we, at least in Western culture, we tend to think about when we say suicide bombers. In this case, he had the bomb vest as a threat. It wasn't his intent necessarily to blow himself up, but it was there as part of what he was doing. And the sacrifices and the risks that have to be taken to try and deal with people like this. And we're also learning a bit more about Adrian Veidt, about Ozymandias. He's really damaged, which again, for me, is correct. I think that last encounter he had with Dr. Manhattan, and the last things that Dr. Manhattan said to him, which again, Nothing ever, and remember the context for this. Adrian Veidt, after having dropped a frigging space squid onto New York and killed 4 million people with the goal of uniting the world in fear of an outside foe, watches nations put down their arms and say, we have to join together. And he turns to Dr. Manhattan and goes, I was right, wasn't I? In the end, he's seeking validation from effectively a god, from the highest authority that he has access to. He is seeking validation. And Dr. Manhattan just said, nothing ever ends. And just puts in 3 words how small Adrian Veidt is. And how no matter what it is that he thinks he's accomplished, there's no end. This is minuscule. This is a drop in the ocean of time, of humanity, to say nothing of the universe. This doesn't matter. He killed 4 million people for something that won't last. Because it's not going to be all right in the end. There's no end. And that attack, like him saying that, and coming from someone like Dr. Manhattan, attacks the heart and the soul of everything someone like Adrian Veidt thinks he is, and thinks that he does the things that he does for. It just slams all of it down. And so he should be shaken. He should be broken. He should be unstable this many years later, after basically God saying to his face, you don't matter. So I'm getting this very troubled vibe behind Jeremy Irons' performance. That said, I kind of wish they'd let him do his own accent. I don't love it when Jeremy Irons does an American accent. Maybe it's partly me. I can't help but think of the third Die Hard movie, where his character pretends to be American, and he has a line where he's like, "Holy Toledo," and I can't help but think of that. Yeah. So I wish they'd let him use his own accent. Yes, I understand the character's supposed to be American. I don't care. I still would have preferred that. Plus, I would also totally buy that Adrian Veidt was the kind of pretentious prick who would have just adopted an English accent anyways. Trying to think what else there is to really dig into. I'm just watching it unfold slowly. Oh, I like the younger FBI guy that they paired Laurie with. He bounced off her well. That they made for a good double act, a good pair. And also, for as much as Laurie tries to pretend that she's above it all, she's clearly carrying a lot of damage, as evidenced by, amongst other things, sleeping with her subordinate. And going into this machine to send a message to Dr. Manhattan. And she tells dark jokes. Yeah. There's a lot of really interesting damage underlying most of these characters. And it can be really hard to do damaged characters properly nuanced, because I feel like more often than not, damaged characters just means terrible people, but we know why they're terrible. And some of these people are terrible people, but it's no, that they're humans with trauma, and that is affecting the way that they behave. And I get that weight of history, personal history, behind pretty much all these characters, which is a testament to the writing and the acting. So that's Watchmen episode 3. I'm going to keep plugging away at it. This thing has no business being this good. It really, really doesn't. But Dang. What'd you think about this episode? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Usual stuff, like, share, subscribe. I've got the Patreon, which pays the bills and keeps this whole thing up and running. Any amount you're able to help is a great bit of assistance, but you also don't have to. Because, we take a laid-back attitude around here, so just come on back next time you need a break.